In this video, we're going to be talking about page speed. Page speed is critical to achieving high Google and other search ranking. Page speed is measured by the amount of time it takes for a page to load after a user clicks away from a search engine results page. The display listing that Google shows when a user clicks on a link, it's the time that it takes from the click action and until your page loads. So it's important to understand that sites that are slower will be listed further down a search result than sites that are faster. And really, it's a search engine signal that you need to be consistently and constantly looking at. So we use a tool called Webolytica that will help monitor your page speed insight score using Lighthouse, and it does this on a daily basis or on demand. So when testing a page speed on a local environment, you'll have to do this in Chrome. Yes, there's a Firefox extension that uses page speed insights, but page speed insights can only work with a reachable domain. So yeah, you can probably set up a tunnel like ngrok, and that way you'll be able to handle it, but you won't be able to necessarily see a valid score because of the networking overhead or latency. The reason you can perform page speed tests in Chrome is because of Lighthouse. Page Speed Insights uses Lighthouse, and Lighthouse is built into Chrome. Let's get started at looking at some of the different options that are available when setting up your tests. So if we go to our menu and we go down to More Tools and then Developer Tools, we can see that over here we have a Lighthouse report that could be available. However, to get to that point, you usually have to find it up on your menu bar. For me, I just have it as my second element. So what we want to do is make sure that things are going to load up correctly. So we can do something with the throttling. So if I say no throttling, it's going to test the connection at, basically full speed. I can do mid-tier mobile. I can do low-end mobile. Mid-tier mobile would be like, I think 3G. Low-end would be 2G. You can go through here and generally just, look at what you're going to be getting. So for this, we're going to do a navigation mode. You can do snapshot mode or a time span. I like doing time span sometimes because it shows like different interactions. You can do mobile and desktop, and also you can select the categories that you want to display. So these are everything that it's going to test for, and it's going to display on the screen. Now let's go ahead and run a test. And when you run a test, it's going to be on the domain, or the link rather, or the page that you're currently on. So this is actually going to test the Contact Us page. So let me just go ahead and hit Analyze Page Load. And it's going to take about 30 seconds to run. All right, so it looks like it's done running. So what we can see is the overall performance is 70, accessibility is 55, best practices is 100, SEO is 75. Now, let's go ahead and start drilling into some of these categories here. So for performance, we have different metrics. So Lighthouse is going to take measurements of the website and the content that's within it, and it's going to start doing some measurements, and it's going to give you the score. It's going to calculate the score and give you the score. So what are these metrics? So there's first contentful paint, or FCP. That measures how long it takes the browser to render the first piece of DOM content after a user navigates to a page. So DOM content is the content like images and text, and that does include fonts. Speed index measures how quickly content is visually displayed during the page load. There's time to interactive. So time to interactive measures how long it takes a page to become fully interactive. So that's fully usable. And usually it's the loading time plus maybe a second or two extra. That way any event handlers and things like that are fully loaded. There's total blocking time. That measures the amount of time that a page is blocked from, usually from user input mouse clicks, maybe somebody's tapping on a screen or pressing the keyboard, things like that. Then there's largest contentful paint. So largest contentful paint measures the largest content element in the viewport that is rendered on the screen. So in this case, it's going to be this big, huge banner image that takes up like 8 megabytes. So that's pretty big. And finally, there's cumulative shift layout. So that's basically a measurement of the largest burst of layout shift for every unexpected layout shift that occurs during the lifespan of the page. So let's say if I had a slider or anything in this page that was off the screen and it causes the screen to have to recalculate something or maybe refresh or anything along that nature, it's going to have a negative impact. So that's what CLS is. So let's go through here, and under our performance, let's go through and let's take a look at some of the opportunities. So these opportunities are going to be things that we can do to make the site faster. So in this case, it's telling us that we need to have it's telling us that we don't have properly sized images. So what it's saying is if we properly size the images, we can save an estimated 35 seconds. Now, don't take these with a grain of salt necessarily. What I would take is the amount of kilobytes or megabytes or whatever. I would take a look at the size that it's going to save. So if you hover over this, it's going to say, this says it's going to save 6.7 or 6,784 kilobytes. So in other words, about 7 megabytes. So if we properly size this image right here, which is the one it's referring to because that's the image, we'll be able to save that much space. Now, it doesn't know that how big to make this image. It's just going to suggest something. So, with that taken, it's going to suggest that this image be, 125 kilobytes or something like that, which I doubt that I could make happen, but we'll see. So the next thing that we can do is serve images into next generation formats. So that would be like WebP, things like that. Now keep in mind, most browsers do have support for WebP. However, sometimes servers may not have support for WebP. So if you have some type of, in Craft specifically, if you have some type of image transform, but your server maybe uses the GD library for graphics instead of ImageMagick, then it may not be able to serve that WebP image. You may have to update your GD library. You may have to update your ImageMagick library in order to get that WebP feature and conversion available. Another thing we can do is encode images efficiently. So what exactly does that mean? So when images are encoded, that basically just means whether they're a JPEG, whether they're a PNG, whether they're a WebP, whether it's an SVG image, that's what they're talking about. So exactly how does Lighthouse make the determination of how big the file should be? So what it does is it takes the width of the image and it takes the height of the image itself, and it calculates per dimensions how big the file should be based off of the file format. So that's how they're doing that. That is in their, it's buried deep into the Lighthouse source code, and if you want to find out more, you can dig into it. It's there. It tells you. So another thing we can do is reduce the unused JavaScript. So I really don't have a lot of JavaScript. In fact, this is from a Chrome extension. I don't have any JavaScript on this site whatsoever. So here you can see your extensions can get in the way of having a good page speed score. However, the impact of it is probably not very big. So let's go to the next item right here. It says reduce initial server response time. Now, I'm a little bit confused on this because I'm on a local development server. Now, things that I can do if I have any timers or if I have anything like that running in the background, like let's say cron jobs, that's what I mean by timers. So if I have any cron jobs running, that can possibly interfere. So the next thing we can do is minify JavaScript. Now, I just said I don't have any JavaScript on this site, so this is coming from an extension. And also there's this little diagnostics panel as well. So the diagnostics panel is going to tell you what they've found and what you can do to actually make the site more fast. So it says serve static assets with an efficient cache policy. A caching policy would be, like let's say if you host your images on a CDN, you can set up a caching policy, which is a period of time that your browser will cache those files or store them in the browser until a certain time is exceeded. And that's the cache policy. The next item, image elements do not have an explicit height and width. So in here, if we look at the source code, I never explicitly call out the width and the height. So I could do that. Also, avoid enormous payloads. So it's saying our network payload was so many kilobytes big, and yes, it was. That includes images, everything that is basically needed to load up the page, and that's what that's referring to. Now, the rest of it I'm not going to cover, but I will go to accessibility. Nowadays, accessibility is pretty important. Of course, image elements do not have alt attributes. So that's that little text description of the image. They should have alt tags. It's very important. Also, in the file, I'm pretty sure in my template, I use user scalable equals no. So that's just the default that's set in VS Code. We do want the user to be scaling it. The best practices was 100%. So what best practices does is it's a collection of different measurements in terms of security. And I'll show you some of the audits that gets ran. So uses HTTPS, avoids requesting geolocation, notifications, avoids front-end JavaScript libraries with known vulnerabilities, things like that. So what it's doing is it's checking to make sure that the security is up to par. Now, this isn't your final security test. I would highly recommend that, scan your pages, scan your libraries that you use for web development. Anything that you get off of GitHub or GitLab or anywhere where there's an outside library coming in, you always need to scan them. SEO, the SEO score was 75. So there's some things here that they're going to call out, and you just make those changes, and you should receive a better score. Let me go through that real quick, and I am going to actually make an update, and I am going to update the meta description, and I'm going to update an image too as well. Let's go ahead and let's start that. So here, I think the hero image is here. I am just going to do this. So I'm going to say alt equals, and I am going to say block image 1 dot. Now, this is where you need to be really careful because I don't know what this is going to be yet. Now, what I have to do is go back. Let's go to settings, and then let's go to assets, and then let's go to, let's see, this is local storage, or that file was from local storage. Alternative text, so alt. So I want to use, in Craft, you always want to use the handles. So I want to use alt. So let's go back. I'm just going to say .alt, and then I'm going to save that. Now it also said something about the meta description. There's no meta description. I don't see a meta description in there, so let's just go ahead and add one. Let's see, the name is, it's description. The content equals a sample craft CMS website for video tutorials. Can't spell. All right, so let's save that. Now let's rerun. Let's go ahead and let's rerun this. And those are the only two things that I'm going to worry about. So I'm just going to show you that, yes, we can make improvements to all this stuff, and it's pretty good too. So let's go ahead, same settings as before, analyze page load. Our SEO score went from a 75 and now it's at 83, just by tweaking those two little things. So that's great, and it probably would go up more if I put an alt tag in there. So actually I'm going to do that right now. So let's go back. Another way that, oh, here, check this out, guys. So what you can do, alternative text. I'm not sure what this thing is. This is just a Pokemon card. I'm not even going to try to describe it because I'm going to butcher it. So let me go to the local storage and I didn't actually attach an alternative text to the image, so that's actually, we're going to get a better score on this. I can assure you that. I'm just going to say banner website banner image, and honestly this is not usually how I do alternative text, but I'm just showing you. Let's go back to our site. Let me go to the entry real quick for contact us, and I am going to put another, where is it at here? Oh, so it is right there. All right, cool. So that's actually all we have to worry about. So let's rerun this. Let's go ahead and just rerun this and see what kind of score we get. And I'm going to guess that we're probably going to be 90 or above. All right, ooh, we're the same. Let's see what it says here. What's going on with this? 83, do not have alt attributes. Okay, I'm not understanding. Oh, that's the text with image. So this is the fun part about all this stuff. So let me go back to the text with image. Let me update that. And this is going to be what you want to do. You can update this right here. Alt equals, we're going to say block 1 or block image.1.alt. Let's just go ahead. Let's go ahead and rerun this. All right, so now we made it up in the 90s. So that's actually what I was looking for, and that's what I was expecting. So as you can see, running Lighthouse in the browser is pretty easy. So all you have to do, make sure you're on Chrome. If you don't have Chrome, I know it's kind of a pain, but you would have to go out to PageSpeed Insights. If you have Firefox there, like I said, there is a Firefox extension. However, for local development, it's not going to work. Thanks for watching the video. If you want to stay up to date on various web development topics, please hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell. See you on the next one.